Hello and welcome to Views on News. I am Jawad. Tehami. Pakistan has rejected Indian allegations of attacking the Golden Temple through drones and missiles on the intervening night of 7th and 8th of May 2025. Let me quote what exactly after the media queries the Foreign Office had to say. We categorically reject the allegations that Pakistan attempted to target the Golden Temple, the most revered place in the Sikh faith. We hold all the places of worship in the highest esteem and cannot think of targeting a holy site like the Golden Temple. In fact, it was India that targeted different places of worship in Pakistan in the intervening night of 6th and 7th of May 2025. The allegations leveled by Indian side cannot shift attention from this unacceptable act. Pakistan is proud custodian of many holy sites of Sikh faith. Every year, it welcomes thousands of Sikh pilgrims from across the world. Pakistan also provides visa-free access to Gurdwara Sahib Kartarpur through the Kartarpur corridor. In that backdrop, any claim concerning Pakistan's attempt to target the Golden Temple is absolutely baseless and incorrect, unquote. And also, we'll be talking about the statement by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. He has called President Trump a man of peace. Let me quote what Prime Minister had to say. President Trump is a man of peace as he has played a major role in averting war between the two nuclear states, Pakistan and India. And the Prime Minister further said that he wanted to express his gratitude to President Trump for his desire to play a sincere role for the resolution of the Kashmir dispute, unquote. We've also seen there is a denial on the part of the Foreign Secretary of India, Vikram Misri, that the United States had no role in mediating the ceasefire between New Delhi and Islamabad. He has also said, according to India's press trust of India, that the Foreign Secretary reiterates the government's stand that the decision to stop the military actions was taken at a bilateral level. And he has also said that the recent military confrontation with Pakistan was entirely in conventional domain and involved no nuclear signaling from the other side. We'll also be talking about this particular aspect, and also we'll be taking the analysis regarding as to the efforts by President Donald Trump in the resolution of the Kashmir dispute. For that, we are honored to have been joined in the studio by Mr. Saeed Khalid. He's former ambassador. Mr. Khalid, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Also in the studio, we're honored to be joined by Professor Dr. Zafar Nawaz, Jaspal, Foreign Affairs expert. Dr. Jaspal, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Ambassador Saeed Khalid, when we talk about another allegation by the Indian side towards Pakistan of attacking the Golden Temple, drones and missiles, once again, there is a categorical rejection on part of Pakistan's Foreign Office regarding this particular allegation. Even after the ceasefire has been reached, we see this particular blame game without any credible evidence continues from the Indian side. We had seen without any evidence, they hurled allegations against Pakistan, in the wake of which, on the pretext of which, they launched that particular aggression against Pakistan. And now again, this blame game continues. What's the motive of this continuing blame game, even after the ceasefire has been reached?
It's very much part of the, untrue and deceptive narrative which this Indian government has followed since it came to power 11 years ago. And if you look at the entire history of these 11 years, you will see how this lot has tried to mislead people, their own people, the outside world, how they have fabricated stories of terrorism involving Pakistan, and people are openly asking, even in India, that what was the government doing when the attack was imminent. And some of them, they reached the conclusion that Prime Minister Modi, despite knowing or despite having received some information about the attack, took no action. In fact, his entire effort was aimed at blaming Pakistan from day one, and then capitalize on that for his own political gains. And so this allegation about the Golden Temple, it doesn't surprise us at all, because it's so much part of their false narrative. And while the all-out war has it has paused, there is a ceasefire. The other war hasn't stopped. War by other means hasn't stopped, and we don't really have any expectation of anything positive from them, because it will be so much against their grain, so much against their character to take any positive line with Pakistan. So we have to answer, we have to rebut, we have to tell the world what the truth is.
Right, Dr. Jaspal, when we talk about this particular blame continuing, we've had that ceasefire, quite a befitting response to Indian aggression by Pakistan. Even after that, we saw before that there was no evidence at the hands of the Indian authorities, on the pretext of which they launched that particular aggression against Pakistan, had to bite the dust. They were given a strong response. Even after that, don't you think they haven't learned the lesson so far? As Mr. Khalid has also alluded to this particular fact, that particular kinetic operations have stopped, and there is a ceasefire that is present at the moment, but the war in other areas continues. So why this particular blame game? How do you look at the intention of the Indian authorities at this particular point in time?
I endorse what the Khasa has said. Now coming to us your question, why there is a continuity. Prime Minister Modi failed to accomplish his objectives. When we try to critically examine the situation, what were his objectives? His objective was, and which the analysts are ignoring, that how he will be going to use this crisis for the sake of his declining popularity. Prime Minister Modi is trying to build some kind of a domestic, you can say, sport with the ultra-nationalists and the Hindutva forces, especially this is a 100th anniversary of RSS in September. And with that he wants to cash it. To cash it in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh provinces. And there is a third variable in this, which everyone is ignoring. Maybe he can go for early elections, because his government is not based on simple majority of Bharatiya Janata Party, but is based on the support of coalition partners and only 6 seats or 8 seats advantage. So, and big, you can say, opposition, and every day they are questioning his legitimacy, his policies, and their impact on the public. So he's trying to build some kind of euphoria or an environment in which, if he will announce a new election in the near future, he will be able to manage it and become a prime minister again with a simple majority in the Lok Sabha. Having said this, second, India has been exposed in the, as Mr. rightly pointed out, since 11 years. 3 times he used this, 2 times successful. 2016 surgical strike, which was not there, but he cashed in the India. 2019, even they went for a deployment of the nuclear assets at the sea, according to their own naval advisor, you can say spokesman Captain Sharma, but they cashed it, they defeated. But at that time the situation was entirely different. Third time he repeated the same strategy to cash the post-Pulwama military standoff or military exchanges, but miserably failing. Why I'm saying failing? Indian Air Force exposed, Indian military industrial complex exposed, and within India, this time what the Congress is doing, they are kicking him every day and asking him why India went. It's a tradition in the Indian history. India went to third party in the subcontinent after the independence, first time to the third party when India went into the United Nations Security Council, in 1948 and secured the peace, or United Security Council resolution by third-party mediation. Again, in every conflict, India used it, including 2019 and 2025. Now, what is the question? He is failing to answer this, that why India's big military muscle failed. Second, why he was using the Indian aggression for his domestic consumption. And that is the area. That's why he has to maintain this conflict for his ulterior motives. For instance, his defense minister said, war is not over. He himself in his speech, instead of referring, why Trump is saying that he mediated the ceasefire, instead of referring him, he is saying this. His body language is exposed, and by this way, I think that he is going to challenge or go for military misadventurism again, but only for the domestic consumption.
Only for
but
the
I
domestic
can bet on the Indian mindset, and especially the India coalition, that they are equally now determined to question his third time repeated military misadventure against Pakistan, which systematically costed India.
Right. There are a number of very important points, Mr. Jaspal, you have made. The early elections. Now, this time around, the befitting response he has got. Would you think that given that very optics that has been created even on the international level, and also when you talk within India on the domestic level, would he be able to be in a position to call for the early elections? If he does so, would he be able to gain traction during those general elections?
It's a very important to note. He has been struggling for that. He has been struggling to create an environment for that. But the trends indicate that environment is not conducive for him. As a politician, he's not acting. Third time he was elected as a prime minister, everyone was expecting from him a statesmanship. Instead of going for a statesmanship, he acted more as a politician, just focusing on the constituency rather than on the national interest. He is more focusing on his personal or his party interest or his cohort's interests. In this context, when I critically examine all these things, I can expect from this kind of a thing, because he's what you call it, he has failed to achieve his objectives, and now he's struggling to set the scene again. As a rational indicator individual, he must go for abiding with the ceasefire and working on whatever he has been doing, but instead of that he wanted a big trophy, which is not available.
So that entire thing which he orchestrated, it's not going to sell again there domestically, even if he calls for early elections. Is it going to serve as a face saving for him?
I fully agree. For the time being, I don't know about tomorrow. If I can focus on today, the way the Indian civil society, the Indian, opposition, and above all, international community. If I put all these three forces together, my conclusion is that the environment for early election for his victory or his party's victory in the Bihar and UP, they have been dashed for the time being. But he will continuously start working for that, and that is a dangerous situation thing, because the Western powers or Western media, if you see in the first week after the ceasefire, there's a different tone, and now because of the big business, big money, they are to some extent buying their argument. And even I can just put here one thing. I came across a story, satellite images indicates that there was a lesser damage. Agreed. Prime Minister Modi and his external affairs secretary for the external affairs saying we didn't approach United States. But when the United States engineered ceasefire, whether we approached or India approached, why India accepted it? But
That
they
is a
did
very
not.
important point. Dr.
Yeah.
Jaspal, I'll come back to you for further discussion on this particular aspect. Also, there is a latest statement by Indian Foreign Secretary on that particular front also. For now, we are honored to be joined by another participant on the video link, Shazia Anwer Cheema, expert in international relations. Dr. Shazia, thank you very much for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. The blame game from the Indian side, despite a ceasefire, post a befitting response to Indian aggression by the Indian side, now continues. Now, Pakistan has also give a categorical rejection as to the blame by a senior Indian army officer as to Pakistan attempting to target the Sikh religious site, the Golden Temple. Why do you think they would stoop to that particular level? It was, in fact, India which targeted the holy places in Pakistan with that particular aggression on the night between 6th and 7th of May. Is it to incite anti-Pakistan sentiment among the Sikh community?
Yeah, of course, that's the main point. But if we talk about the level and degradation of that moral or ethical level, it's very evident in Indian domestic politics that there is no place for that. There is no um, uh, accountability for that. It all started with this that moral decadence. I mean, doing domestic politics on the bodies of dead bodies of 26 people, there is no morality in that. Then lingering on to this idea that this idea could be a good idea to sell in the market, then it's a good idea to defame Pakistan, and then again it will be a good idea to target Pakistan's territorial integrity. So everything is like there is no moral value in that. It's all the blame game. It's all for the domestic politics. It's all for the domestic consumption. And after failing to that, even now it's like that defaming campaign is going to the next level. Now it is all combining forces to go door to door diplomatically and tell the people how bad Pakistanis are. So that's the stage we are standing right now. After looking at the reality in the mirror, now what they are doing, they are going now as a delegation, country to country, to defame Pakistan and to tell the people that that is the reality and we are the victim of the situation. And world has already rejected that notion, and that is the whole crux of the situation. If world has any appetite for this type of things, especially in this time and space, it would have already Modi have achieved what he wanted to achieve. But world has no appetite for after Gaza genocide, after Ukraine war. There is no margin for attacking countries for their domestic political consumptions, and that's the huge failure. But for us, we have to look forward that how this next phase is going to play when people are going diplomatic office to diplomatic office and telling the
Shazia, I
host
get your
countries
point.
that
How do you compare the recent? You already mentioned that they are trying to send in every country in order to malign Pakistan. We have seen a clear-cut victory on the diplomatic front. There is not even a single statement that has come in the support of India except for Israel. Now, even not even the US president has given any sort of a statement. Rather, in his interview with Fox News, he has termed Pakistani people as brilliant people. And he has also said that we can't forget them. And at the same time, he has criticized India. How do you compare how the diplomatic front during this entire saga of the two countries had been?
we are harvesting the fruit of our effort, and we must acknowledge our diplomats and our political and military establishment, how they have worked hand in hand. And we have invested in our neighbors, we have invested in our diplomatic relations and our media, especially you people. The way you are operating objectively and with patience and not letting this media to be a circus. So everything is playing together. Everything is playing in the favor of Pakistan in order to give a clear, holistic picture that what Pakistan is and what Pakistan stands for and what is Pakistan's stance. And this is a very good time to continue it. We need some sort of consistency and continuity in that. But whatever the diplomatic feedback we have got during this crisis, it is all because of our relationship with Azerbaijan, with Turkey, with Iran, with the SAARC countries, with China, and the broader, like, Anglo-Saxon world, the broader West, even with the Gulf countries. So we have invested in them. But if we look at India, they their entire diplomatic relations are half-hearted. I will give one example. When Modi was invited in the Victory Day 9 May parade in Russia, and he refused to go. I don't know, like, maybe because he would have some pressure from some other corners, but he should have gone. And again, with the
Dr.
American.
Shazia, I understand this is a clear-cut setback for India on the diplomatic front as well. There is a New York Times reports which talk about this particular battlefield standoff between Pakistan and India, a clear-cut setback for India. So multiple setbacks on multiple fronts for India. Ambassador Khalid, when we talk about these diplomatic missions, Prime Minister has also entrusted the former Foreign Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, to high-level delegation to go to the major world capitals in order to sensitize them about India's approach and behavior and expose India's propaganda. Dr. Shazia has also alluded to the fact that Indians are also sending the diplomatic staff for one country to another. How do you look such type of efforts? What sort of efficacy do you associate with them?
This, the idea of sending delegations, particularly with parliamentarians included, this is normal, to explain your viewpoint, to gain sympathy, if possible support of the international community. What is a bit unusual here is that on the one hand, India says anything with Pakistan we will deal.
Yeah.
The world should not concern themselves with these problems. But here they go, in contrast to what they are professing all the time.
Yeah.
And they want to send a big delegation, they want to send the opposition members that. I think Pakistan always believes in this kind of diplomacy, and we have been doing this for a long time. It's not a... so this has a limited value, this sending out delegation. We have to look at the real problem, which is here, not in the international community. And that problem is India's totally unfair, unjustified position of launching a kind of multi-dimensional war against Pakistan and its people. And these delegations is just a small part of that. But what else India is doing, like boycotting in cultural fields, in sports, going to other countries, going to the international institutions, try to stop Pakistan's package at the IMF. All these things India is doing. And if you allow me, I want to just to mention that a couple of important dates are coming ahead. Number one is the state election in Bihar, which is important because Bihar is one of the big states, one of the large states. It has about 40 members in the Lok Sabha, in the Indian lower house. Hence, Bihar election is a test for him and as well as for the opposition. I see that the Bihar political scene is fractured, and there are multiple parties, including BJP, Congress and others. So it's a game of coalitions and forming and breaking and so on. First thing, Bihar election. Second thing is 100 years of RSS, which Bihar election is supposed to be in September, October. In RSS's centenary celebrations also, I hear, are in September. And third thing, the last one, that Modi, when he became Prime Minister, he said the politicians should retire at 75, which meant that after 75 you should not remain Prime Minister. He is going to become 75. That is also happening around September. So there are these three scenarios coming up, and I think everybody in India is focused on those things.
This last particular point, is it what Modi has himself said, or is it provided by the Constitution of India as well,
No,
the
no,
age limit
no,
for that?
no,
There is no age limit for that.
There is
So-
no, you know, in parliamentary systems there is no such limit.
Right. Dr. Jaspal, now, when we talk about the bilateral relations between India and the United States of America, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri has once again denied involvement of US in any sort of mediation between Pakistan and India regarding this particular ceasefire, rather saying that the government, he has reiterated his government stance that the decision to stop military action was taken at a bilateral level. What makes me curious at this particular point in time is, how does it affect India's relations with the US? Such type of the statements of denial of any sort of a role President Trump has played in this ceasefire arrangement between Pakistan and India, despite he saying, President Trump saying it for 7 times on different occasions.
You, in your intro, very clearly mentioned about these statements, which qualifies America's intervention and India's acceptance. And again, you have just referred a few. The question is, let me go for a devil's advocate. Even if Indians thinks that the Americans didn't engineer, is the entire international community, Indian civil society and Pakistanis are ignorant? Why did India accepted it?
Yeah.
Why did India accepted it? Agreed. Let me take the Indian foreign minister's this statement, and he's a seasoned diplomat, and I'm feeling that what is happening with it. Let's say I agreed with this statement for the time being. I don't agree, you can accept it or agree, but that it was due to the, it is not due to the Americans' pressure. Then he's qualifying what you call it, the fear of Pakistan's armed forces military might. That after the strikes of the Pakistan on 10th, wee hours, India agreed on ceasefire.
Yes.
Why did India agree?
Yeah, that's a very pertinent question.
I agree with it. I respect the Indians this claim that it is the ceasefire was not engineered by the Americans. That it means the ceasefire was, you can say, imposed upon them. There was no other way out. They had no, you can say, what you call it, courage to respond to Pakistan's strikes on the 26 sites.
Yeah.
They were militarily checkmated in a manner that they immediately went for ceasefire.
Yeah.
Then it means that Indians accepted the, or they were afraid of Pakistan's military might, and they were afraid of the escalation. They were afraid of Pakistan's mindset of what we call it, quid pro quo plus strategy of Pakistan, which is open. We were asking the Indians, act rationally, don't escalate. We were giving them a space. Even on the 7th when they attacked and they lost 5 aircrafts and sophisticated AVU, we didn't retaliate on 8th, 9th, but they were, you can say, trying to establish that we are chicken made.
So,
No.
Dr. Jaspal, very quickly, we are joined by another participant. I'll have to move towards him as well. Very quickly, does it affect the bilateral relationship between US and India in any way, this repeated denial by their higher authorities?
I think that Americans, we shall be very careful. President Trump foreign policy is very much transactional. These kind of the incidents creates a big market for the Americans in India, and Indians will be now rushing for the American military equipments. It's open what the Americans desire, which they desired after in 2016 when they made India major defense partner. They desire to sell, and the same Trump asked the Indian to buy Patriot Pack 4 in 2018, but Indian went for S-400, and naturally Trump desired to sell similar equipments or twice to India, and India is ready to buy now. So don't bet that their relations will be deteriorated. I think strategic cooperation will further upgrade it, or what we call it, threshold strategic partnership will be more mature.
Right, we are honored to be joined by Mr. Manpreet Singh. He's the General Secretary for World Sikh Parliament. Mr. Singh, thank you very much for your time, for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. We've seen the blame game continuing from the Indian authorities. Also, one of the senior army officers from Indian side blaming Pakistan to target the Golden Temple, the holy site for Sikhs in India, through drones and missiles, which has categorically been rejected by Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in Pakistan. And we have also seen there was a statement during a press, Pakistan's Foreign Minister and DGI-SPR also saying these projectiles were not fired from Pakistan, rather they were fired from within India. How do you look at this particular blame game? India having no evidence and still blaming Pakistan for this act.
No problem. Thanks for having me on the show. I think as far as the Sikhs are concerned, the diaspora has absolutely rejected this wrong narrative that was created, this false narrative, this mirage which was created by the Indian authority that India was saying that Pakistan missiles, they're going to target the Golden Temple and then so on and so forth. We have made it clear, as far as the World Sikh Parliament is concerned, the diaspora Sikhs are concerned, we've made it pretty clear that we don't believe in this narrative. Rather, we believe in one narrative, that the only government in the recent time who have dared to attack this holiest shrine in Sikhism is the Indian government. They attacked in 1955, they attacked in 1984, and they attacked in 1986. So we have made it clear, and I don't think the people of Punjab has believed this false narrative. The thing is, recently, these both Punjabs, the one in India and the one in Pakistan, they have come very close, especially due to the efforts by the Pakistani government, creating the corridor, making it operative. I still remember the first press conference that your country did. They made it clear that we're rejecting all the visas apart from the people who are here for Sikh pilgrimage. So this just tells that, and this fact is not easy to digest for India, because they want to use Sikhs as a shield for them, and they have reports, they have intelligence reports that the dissent from the Sikh and the Punjabi community within the Indian army is huge, especially after the farmers' protest. And they've still not been able to, just reconcile those differences. So now they're trying to create this narrative because they want to use the Sikhs again. So we have...
Singh, I get your point. How do you look at the overall efforts of the Pakistani authorities on a number of, during the number of years and on a number of occasions? I want your understanding regarding that.
See, 100%. See, we are with our Pakistani brothers in this war. We made it very clear, and the Sikh community at large believes that Pakistan is not a foe, is a friend for the Sikhs. The way they've dealt with Sikhs, they've dealt with them separate to India, looking at them as a separate entity. Kartarpur corridor, the press conferences during this war, as you've just mentioned, your ministers clarified themselves that we will never do this. This is a false narrative. So this does help. And to be honest...
Right, I get your point, Mr. Manpreet Singh, General Secretary for World Sikh Parliament. Thank you very much for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. Dr. Shazia, now let me talk about this particular statement by Vikram Misri, the Foreign Secretary of India. He said recent military confrontation with Pakistan was entirely in the conventional domain and involved no nuclear signaling from the other side. We have seen Indian Prime Minister Modi using the term of nuclear blackmail, that it won't be tolerated. We also saw the Defense Minister talking about this particular aspect also. Do we understand that there is a huge contradiction, a sheer lack of coordination among the ranks of the Indian authorities themselves, and they don't have a clear idea what to say and what not to say?
Of course, you have just touched the pulse of the situation. They have become the victim of their own narrative. Their foreign minister is saying that we have informed the Pakistanis that we are attacking on your sovereign territory, yet they retaliated. Their spokesperson is saying that America is not involved. Then he's adding up that it was a bilateral thing, and then adding there is no nuclear signal. Other politicians are saying that there was something nuclear on the media. They are also creating a hype that even there is, God forbid, there is some nuclear reactor, there is some kind of leakage in Pakistan. So, in their own media sphere, they are also spreading this. So, they have become the victim of their own narrative, and this all starting from the name of this operation, which was like Operation Sindoor. And when Trump uh, orchestrated a ceasefire. I don't know how and or when. We don't have any information about that because Pakistan never asked for that. But he claimed on his Truth Social post that he proposed for a business. He asked India to let's do business, and India said yes, of course, let's do it. And now this just combine this business frame, this cognitive frame, with the frame of Sindoor and the South Asian culture and these emotions relating to that Sindoor thing. So it is again, now they are again cornered themselves with the name and the propositional narrative which has been proposed by the Trump, that how this all problem has solved. So they are now trying to minus Trump from the equation because they are now trying to minus this business proposition out of the, because it's not working in domestic politics again, because this is all, these all dead bodies, these all atrocities, these all horrific war crimes, they are just for domestic politics. And that's the most nauseated thing about this entire episode. And now they are just trying to nullify this narrative. No, it was not like from Trump, we were not doing business. But I cannot rule out the transactional nature of Trump and then the bullying aspect in that, because Trump wants India to have that, the maximum tariffs from America and the zero tariffs from India. Also, the weapon issue is there, also containment of China and
Dr. Shazia, unfortunately, we are short of time. Very quickly, do you think there has been an offer on part of President Donald Trump in making efforts to resolve the Kashmir dispute? Do you think he could lead this particular dispute to a certain resolution?
The only thing which has already been done and which further could be done is that now the Kashmir issue is on the center stage. And the thing what we can do diplomatically or on the media sphere, we just keep this issue alive and we just keep talking about that. But for solving that issue, we need the goodwill of the parties, good intentions of the parties, which I can't see in either case, nor in the case of America, nor in the case of India, because
At your point, Dr. Shazia and Cheema, expert in international relations, joining us on the video link. Thank you very much for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. In the studio, we're joined by Mr. Saeed Khalid, former ambassador. Mr. Khalid, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us. Also, Professor Dr. Zafar Nawaz Jaspal, foreign affairs expert. Dr. Jaspal, thank you very much for your time, also for being with us on the show tonight. Really appreciate that. With that, we come to the end of today's episode. Till the next one, take good care of yourselves.